looks like we're live. Hey guys, how you doing? This is Slider with the Impluster, and it looks like we're going to be doing another night of nerd talk. With me tonight is Brandon.
Hey guys.
And our newbie Ryan.
Hey, what's up?
So we're going to do it a little different today. We're going to be trying to moderate it, try to trim down some of the fat a little bit. So we're going to go through specific topics in a list, and it's something that we came up with earlier today. So to begin with, we were talking about Blade Runner and the Blade Runner trailers. So Brandon, you've seen the new trailer. What do you think?
I'm definitely excited for it, but like I still have concerns just because I really don't think it's going to feel the same way Blade Runner did. I think it's going to be just a good bit more of an action flick than the last one was.
All right, and so, what about you?
I mean,
I think it might suffer a little bit from the same feelings we got with Kingsman, the Golden Circle, where we already have the world established. So going back to that world, you're not going to get that same feeling that you got when you saw the first one.
All right. Well, when was the last time you saw Blade Runner, the original?
I probably about 4 years ago.
Okay, and Brandon?
I think it was the last time we watched it together, so 2 or 3 years ago.
Okay, I watched it about 2 months ago, just kind of getting ready for this new movie, and even without the newness of the trailer, I think it is a different world because remember, this is what is it, 50 some odd years in the future from the original Blade Runner. So I think
I think it's only like 30 years after. I thought Blade Runner was like 2022, right?
You might be right. You might be right. I'm not sure. So my point is that the world has changed, and it is going to feel different, and I think that's okay. I don't think it's going to be like, well, this isn't Blade Runner. I think it's just going to be it's going to be the same world, just further along in the future, and I think we can account for that. But just from watching the trailer, I really enjoyed seeing Harrison Ford on screen, which I always do. Ryan Gosling is growing on me more and more, and I'm really liking seeing him.
That's who I'm concerned about because I'm still iffy on him.
You're concerned? What's the last movie you saw him in?
Actually, I don't even know. I'd have to go look. See what was recent.
Well, the most recent thing I've seen him in was La La Land, but
I didn't see that.
You watch? Well, it's a musical, so and you know how I am about that. But if you look at he's just not he's just on that. What is that movie with Emma Stone? Crazy Stupid Love. He does a fantastic job in that. In La La Land, he did a fantastic job. He's got acting chops. I don't think he's going to be an issue in this movie. Ryan, what do you think?
I thought in the second trailer, I think that made me feel a little bit more comfortable with him in the role. With his voiceover during the beginning of it, it gave it a good tonality to the trailer, which I think is key whenever you're trying to find an actor for a role like this. So I thought I feel comfortable with him in it, and especially with how his interactions with Harrison Ford will be, from what I've seen in the trailers.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're going to have good chemistry with each other. I personally have no concerns with the actors and their performances. I'm more concerned about where they're going to take the story, because the story, the original Blade Runner was so far ahead of its time, and I'm sure you guys have heard this. Watch the director's cut because it's a much darker ending. I hope that they can maintain the level of sophistication and depth that the original film had, and even though we like to say that Blade Runner is universally liked, it's not. There's a lot of people that actually really don't like it. Like
which is weird. I mean, I haven't really talked to anyone who doesn't. Although, admittedly, not a lot of people have seen it. I have talked to a lot of people who just have not seen the movie.
Right. No, and I'm actually not talking about my friends personally. Most of my friends in my social circle either haven't seen it or loved it. I'm more talking about critics that I follow, pundits, other podcasters, stuff like that. And even though like you'll hear them, they are the minority, but you'll hear them say like, oh, people think I'm crazy, but I didn't like this movie. But I'm excited for it. I think it's going to do well. I think the performances are going to do well. I just am hoping the story is worthy of what we got from the original film. This is kind of a good segue for that because we are bringing Harrison Ford back for this sequel many years later, and it just brings up the point of bringing back these properties and these actors years and years and years later after their franchises really, for all intents and purposes, ended. Like, what do you think about that? Like, do you want to see more of it, less of it? What are your thoughts on that, Brendan?
I like seeing more of it, at least so far, for the most part. I mean, the Die Hard movies didn't, with Bruce Willis, the last couple didn't do that well, but I still enjoyed them. And I saw him, or I enjoyed seeing some of these actors and characters be older versions of themselves. They're not doing quite as much physical work as they used to, but they're still badass.
Well, look at Han Solo.
Yeah.
I mean, he fell right back into that role. There was no doubt in my mind when he came on screen that was Han Solo.
Well, and he'll be doing Indiana Jones again, although he did 4 already.
Good God, I hope they just fucking pretend that Crystal Skull didn't happen.
Yeah, please.
But it's not just Harrison Ford. You got Sylvester Stallone making the Creed movies. Well, I guess it is Harrison Ford with Indiana Jones and Star Wars and Blade Runner.
Yeah, Harrison Ford's a big one. But I mean, well, Stallone's doing. So he did Creed, and now he's doing. I don't know how big a role he's going to be in it, but from everything I've read, he's going to be in Creed 2, because they are making a Creed 2.
Well, see, and what they did with Creed, I'm actually really happy with, because I thought Creed was a fucking good movie.
Like, I thought it was too. I thought it was too. I was scared to see it at first because it's like, oh, it's another Rocky movie, and then, no, I mean it is and it isn't. Creed was a good movie.
Yeah, and Rocky took the role of Mickey, the trainer, and I'm cool with that. I'm cool with seeing, like handing the torch off and moving on, and him taking what Mickey taught him to help out, what is it, Adonis? Is that his name?
Yes.
Apollo's son. But like, I really enjoyed that movie.
Adonis, yeah.
I think Sylvester Stallone actually has some real acting chops when he's not trying to be the action hero.
Yeah, that is true. Although, I mean, he did okay in Expendables as well, but Expendables is his thing, so.
Which is why I was kind of surprised when I saw in Guardians too. He came up and he was kind of a cameo, and I just wasn't expecting to see him in there. And I was taken off guard by it in not a positive way, and I don't know if I'm the only one who felt that way. I might be.
No, you're definitely not the only one that felt that way. Lots of people felt that way, especially because he did not embody this character. When he came on the screen, he was just Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah, he was just.
Yeah.
So, and that you're right. That took us out of the story, and it was, and he really kind of phoned it in.
He was just
himself. Like I, for the most part, I think they've been doing well with these sequels. Funny, they were talking about, and they've been talking about this for fucking 10 years, but the Avatar sequel, right? And how James Cameron is planning on doing 4 more Avatar movies.
5.
Well, I don't know that that's going to happen because there's a lot of people out there that just don't give a shit about Avatar anymore.
They waited too long.
Yeah, it was something special at the time because of the effects, but the story was completely unoriginal.
That's true, but you say that people don't care about it anymore, and that it's also true. But if they show a preview and a trailer for a new Avatar movie and it looks phenomenal, which you know it will,
it's
going to make money.
All of us losers are going to go see it. That's not my point. I think what's going to happen is, or what could happen. I'm not going to say what is to happen because this is James Cameron we're talking about. Is he's going to make this sequel and it could really tarnish what the original was. And frankly, in my opinion, the original wasn't that special. Was it great 3D? Sure, I guess. I'm not a fan of 3D, and that really doesn't do a whole lot for me. So, in the end, what he did with that movie was put a story that I had seen over and over and over into an alien platform, and that's all it really was to me.
Yeah, I feel the same way about the story. It did at the time, and I think that a lot of people said that it felt like it felt unoriginal. And what really made it groundbreaking is what the word of mouth that made everyone flock to the movie theaters was the 3D. It really set the stage for what 3D should look like in the cinema, and it's affected almost every movie since it. That and the graphics were amazing. The CGI was amazing for its time. And if the sequel comes out and they haven't improved the storyline and graphically it stays the same, I don't think it's going to have the appeal that it did as the first one did.
Yeah, I personally don't think it will either because again, 3D is not my thing, so that whole allure isn't there for me. So I'm going to go see it just like you guys are, but I'm not terribly excited about it. It's just gonna be like, all right, well, let's see, what they're doing with this.
I'm interested in seeing where the story goes because they were there for a rock that has a really high value that they named stupidly unobtainium,
Yeah.
and they just barely were able to fend off the humans. They have no spaceships to get off the natives have no spaceships to get off the planet that we know of, unless they add something into the lore of the aliens or the Na'vi, right?
Yeah.
That they have some do they have like spaceships and like?
No, the ones since they just captured the base, they have all the spaceships that were there. They have plenty of craft now available to at least start going places if they wanted to.
Yeah, but my issue with that is why would they? Their whole life.
They probably don't, but it's at least there.
Yeah, they're there, but like I said, their whole philosophy, their whole culture revolves around being connected to the planet. Why would they want to leave the planet?
Well, my perspective is how much more can they build on that planet and bring in new concepts?
The ocean. I have read that the ocean is going to change things significantly as well.
Well, and what it needs to be is it needs to not be about the fact that they're aliens or the fact that it's the future or the fact that they're in space. It needs to be a character-driven story that just happens to be about this race of people where they are. So, I mean, and James Cameron is perfectly capable of capturing that. I mean, he gave us Terminator. He gave us Titanic, which not exactly original, but the movie was good.
I guess in terms of Terminator, they're rebooting it again.
I know.
And Schwarzenegger's still going to be in it.
I know. I don't know. I'm a little wishy-washy on what Cameron's doing because he hasn't given us anything in the last fucking 10 years. So. We don't know what to expect from him, and he's not doing anything original. He's trying to go back and capitalize on these properties that he's already created, that we thought had already run their course, and now he's bringing them back. And I don't know. I'm just not terribly excited about anything that he's got in the pipeline.
You know what I would be excited to see, even though I don't like him as a person anymore, is Lethal Weapon. An actual Lethal Weapon movie. Sequel.
I don't know. I think that's, again, I think it would be fun, but that whole thing, if they did that, they'd try to like pass the torch on to some new young crew, and we're seeing that all over the place. I'm not interested in seeing that.
No, not even necessarily a reboot. Just them doing another sequel where they're both ready to retire or whatever, and there's one last thing going on.
Well, that's what I'm saying, because they pretty much had started going down that road with Chris Tucker when they brought him into. Wait, Chris Tucker, is that what it was?
Yeah. No, Chris Rock.
Chris Rock. Yeah. So when they brought Chris Rock in, he was supposed to be kind of like Lethal Weapon, the next generation kind of thing, and I'm not interested in seeing that. It's just not something I like. Where the franchise was when it left off, even though the last movie wasn't great, it was still fun to see. Would I like to revisit Murdoch and Riggs? Yes, but not. I don't know. If they did it, I'd want one of them to die or something. Like I want a definitive ending. Like same thing with the. You brought up the Die Hard series. I hate those stupid movies. Die Hard 1 and 2 are good. The rest of them are shit.
Die Hard 3 was the best one.
No, it's not. It's shit, just like the rest of them. I want them to make one called Die Already, right? Where they just kill them off, and we don't have to worry about this franchise anymore because.
Well, the last one was what? Die Hardest, I think.
Yeah, Die Harder. I don't know.
It's Die Hardest.
Whatever, I don't care. It was stupid, is what it was. What are your thoughts on the whole Die Hard franchise, Ryan?
I'm in agreement with you.
Have you seen them?
Not in forever. Like it didn't have the appeal to me. What was the last Die Hard movie?
I don't know, like 4 or 5 years ago. Too soon.
That
was not long ago enough.
His son in Russia.
That was the one where they drove that. Was it the semi or whatever? That ridiculous scene.
Yeah.
With the helicopter and shit. Yeah, I probably seen it when it came out, and I didn't have the urge to see it again ever since. And if that doesn't tell you enough about the movie, then I don't know.
But you saw it.
Yeah, I did see it because the franchise was good, and then it started to die off, and they should have killed it off sooner.
Brandon, had we not been doing the podcast at that time, I would not have seen the movie. I saw it because I had to see it, pretty much.
Well, either way, I liked him.
I guess the jury's kind of still out. Some of them, it really depends on the property, whether or not we want them to bring these actors back, to bring these stories back, and what they have to offer.
It depends on where the story left off, the story and the actors involved.
Well,
right.
What would you like to see be done, Ryan?
Oh, off the top of my head? I have no idea. I would need a minute.
I would probably like to see. Well, no, I take that back because I just thought about what condition Chuck Norris is in. Chuck Norris should just rest until he's no longer with us. But if he were still able, I would like to see him come back and do like another Lone Wolf McQuade or something along those lines. Because those were cheesy popcorn fun movies. There wasn't a whole lot of depth to them, and I think I could be okay with that.
Oh, to answer your question, two movies that I would like to see. I was really excited for the Crow reboot. I wanted to see that really bad. Not another sequel, just reboot the franchise with a new actor. And the other one is Spawn. I'm really excited to see the new Spawn.
I'll give you that. Spawn, I actually would like to see done properly, because I don't know what that really was with that last Spawn movie. It was kind of all right in some cases, just seeing the character, but the rest of it was really questionable.
It was a
Hold
little
on.
campy
You
for what
were
the
talking-
comic books, for as dark as the comic books were.
But the question that was asked is whether we wanted to bring these actors back, not if we want to see their franchises taken over by other people.
Yeah, true. In that regard, I can't think of anyone.
What about you, Brandon?
Star Trek, Next Generation specifically. I would like to see another movie.
Oh, I'd be up for another Next Generation movie. Although I will say this, I like the Next Generation movies, but they did not feel cinematic. They just felt like long episodes of Star Trek.
Which is why I'm like, give us another movie.
Right. So I guess, like I said, definitively, it's really up to the property and what stories are left to be told, whether or not we want to see those come back. So moving on. Star Wars: The Last Jedi wrapped production this week, and it is not in post-production. It's not working on audio. There's no reshoots. It's in the can and locked in a vault. What do you think about that?
I am excited as I am nervous for many different reasons. Mostly, don't kill Luke.
Well, in case you're unaware of this, on Monday Night Football next Monday, during halftime, they will be premiering the first full-length trailer for The Last Jedi.
All right.
It's not going to be a teaser. It's actually going to have story elements and tell us what this story is going to be about. So Monday night, and they did that last year. They got a bunch of nerds to watch football just so they could see a trailer.
Well, I won't be watching football because I'll be at work, or sleeping.
The trailer will be out then, though.
Yeah.
What about you, Ryan? What are your thoughts?
Oh, I'm excited for it. I'm going to be watching anyway for commercials, so it's not like it's pulling me out of a cave. Oh, wait. You're right.
It's not the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I misheard. I'm sorry. My headset.
Yeah, just a regular football game.
Yeah, because
Who's playing? Who's playing?
I don't even know. But if it was the Super Bowl, it would be like 2 months after The Last Jedi came out in theaters.
Yeah.
That just shows how little of football I know anyway. So.
So yeah, I'm pretty excited about that, and I think they're going to have a repeat of what they had last year. With a lot of people, tuning in to Monday Night Football just for that trailer.
I hope it's not just another Empire remake, though.
I don't think it will be.
I don't think so either, but I have heard that concern voiced a lot.
Oh, I'm okay with there being elements of that story in it, just like there were elements of that story in the Force Awakens. But I think it's going to be fine. But so moving on. Moving on. We're done with that. We'll talk about it more, the trailer more when it comes out. Are you aware of this whole Thor Ragnarok debacle?
No, you mentioned it, and I tried to search it, but I didn't really see anything.
So, for whatever reason, and it seemed like it was only theaters that have IMAX screens, if you would search for Thor Ragnarok, it said it was out and playing now.
Oh.
So, like, theaters were getting bombarded with phone calls and people trying to buy tickets and all of a sudden stuff like, why is it out? Why do you have it? Is this an early screening? That it was a disaster for, and it wasn't any one theater in particular. It was really strange. And as far as I can tell, it was only through Google. It wasn't through Fandango. It wasn't through Movies.com or any of the other services that you can buy tickets through. That if you did a search for it, it showed that it was playing, and it wasn't in a lot of theaters. Like I said, the closest one near me was in Lakeland.
That's unfortunate. Like, I mean, it's too bad that it's not real, because I would have loved to go have seen it today.
Yeah, one of the theaters over by you was the Merritt Cobb 16. They had the thing listed. And the funny thing was, if you looked at it, it had everything listed normally like you would for a movie that you were going to go see tonight. But then when you went to go buy the tickets, there was no listing for it. So that made people get a hold of the theaters and all that jazz. And I don't know. I thought that was pretty funny. But something else. The Justice League trailer is the I guess the final Justice League trailer is coming out on Sunday. It was tweeted by Henry Cavill. So we'll be seeing some more elements of what the Justice League movie is going to be, and that one's had its issues as well. You know, we have the whole controversy of whether or not Ben Affleck's going to stay in the role as Batman. Are they going to do? It is confirmed they have a Flashpoint script, by the way.
Yes, which is how I heard that they're going to basically write Ben Affleck out, or at least that's again like the rumor going.
That's the going
doing
theory.
The Flashpoint movie.
Right, that's the going theory. And if they do that, because in Flashpoint they eventually get the timeline back to normal. If they do that, and that's how they write off Ben Affleck's Batman, there's going to be some interesting.
Can you inform me why he's leaving the role? Or is it
so?
Multiple reasons.
Without.
Is it his choice or is it the?
It's his choice. It's definitely his choice. And I can't say this definitively because he hasn't said this, and the production company hasn't said this. But the going chatter around it with all the different people that are talking about and looking into it is that basically he got chosen to write and direct the standalone Batman movie. And when they looked at his script, they were like, this is not what we're going to do. Because they already had their idea of what direction they wanted to take the franchise. And he was like, well, if I can't write it, I don't know if I want to direct it. So even though they were rewriting the script, he was still slated to direct. Well, then they removed him from being the director. And then it's just kind of like, well, if I'm not going to write or direct it, I don't want to be Batman. So it's really kind of Ben Affleck pouting because he's not getting his way. But on the flip side of that, I think Warner Brothers is fucking stupid. I think he's a great Batman. I think he'd probably write more than a hell of a Batman story.
I disagree, but...
You disagree why? Who is your definitive Batman?
Christian Bale so far.
Christian Bale's Batman was an Elseworld story. Christian Bale's Batman did not hold to all of the history of what came before it in terms of Batman. So how is he the definitive Batman?
How is Ben Affleck? Ben Affleck kills people with a gun.
Batman used to kill people with guns in the comics.
Especially older Batmans.
Yes.
Which
Batman
is how
was
he's being portrayed. He's being portrayed like... We've seen, what was it, Robin's suit that had the holes in it, so he's felt the loss.
Yeah,
and
we believe that they're going to somehow bring the Joker story, killing Jason Todd, all this other stuff, into it. But, like, Batman used to straight up murder people.
I can't comment because I didn't know that. I thought thought that was his thing, is that he doesn't kill.
Haven't you seen The Dark Knight Rises? I know you have. Not The Dark Knight Rises, God damn it, that stupid movie. The Dark Knight Returns. The animated movie?
Yeah.
He kills in that movie.
True, but that is old Bruce Wayne.
That's Frank Miller's Batman, which, in terms of Batman fans, is often considered the definitive Batman. So... I don't know. All these people that have problems. Same thing with the people that have problems with Superman killing Zod. Like, Superman killed people before, and he did it in such a way that in the last, like the Christopher Reeve movie, they killed people. He straight up killed Zod and the two cronies whose name I don't remember at the moment. And people are like, oh, Superman doesn't kill. The hell he doesn't. you're
I didn't, I
applying.
didn't, I didn't really have a problem with Superman doing it to Zod because and it was also needed. He didn't really have a choice. I mean, what was he
Right.
going to do?
He didn't take it lightly, which I thought was good.
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with that. I don't know. I just didn't. I could see him as a Batman, but not the definitive Batman.
Now, I will say this: Ben Affleck's Batman was probably a little too liberal in the way he was willing to kill people. He was almost Punisher-esque.
Yeah,
So I'll give you that. But yeah, Batman definitely used to straight up murder people. Batman's messed up. There's a book that I have, and I think I told you about this one time before. It's called The Psychology of Batman, and it's this psychologist who goes and does psychological profiles on Batman and all of his rogues gallery, and Robin and Batgirl, and there's some really dark, messed up stuff that these characters, if they were real, what they'd be going through emotionally and mentally. So we could, you know, what we could be seeing. We could be seeing Batman, not or a softer Batman, if you will, because of what he says at the end of Batman v Superman. He's like, we failed, we got to do better. You know, so it might be that they are going to have him adopt the no-kill philosophy. I don't really know for sure, but in terms of Justice League coming out and them rebooting or doing a soft reboot with Flashpoint, it's really, if they use that opportunity to get rid of Ben Affleck, it's going to be a really different Batman than we're used to.
Why do you say that? Why couldn't someone else just kind of step into the role and?
Because in Flashpoint, the person that became Batman was his dad, and Bruce Wayne died.
Oh yeah,
So,
that's right. And didn't his mom become Joker?
His mom became the Joker. So, and again, in the Flashpoint animated movie, anyway, I'm not really sure about the comic book storyline, even though I think it follows the same path. He restores the timeline. He brings things back to the way they were. So if he brings things back to the way they were, and then we just have a different Batman altogether, that's going to be a little weird. I'd rather they just recast him and not mention it, kind of like what they did with.
Well, what if they restore the timeline, but things are slightly different?
Well, even if things are slightly
and then all the
different,
actors look the same
Like,
except for Batman.
except for Batman, yeah.
Maybe different. Actually, have a Jimmy Olsen, rather than
yeah,
the guy who got just shot right away.
Bring
Right.
the Flash over from the the television series.
I'm pretty sure they're never going to do that.
Yeah, that they're not going to do. But
I
you know
know.
what I mean. Like they could do certain things to bring it to, I guess, a more robust Justice League setup.
They could, and it might even be beneficial for the franchise. I'm just saying, if they're going to use Flashpoint in that way, they're going to have to get really creative, and I'm pretty sure, even if it's good, it's going to piss a lot of people off.
Well, how are they going to do Flashpoint? I wasn't aware of the script written for it.
Okay,
Is
so
it going to be a Flash movie?
yeah, it is.
Okay.
It's the standalone Ezra Miller Flash movie. Well, when I say standalone, it's Flash is the main character, but Wonder Woman's going to be in it.
Yeah, because her movie sold well.
Yeah, so and he's basically going to go back and try to change something. He's going to fuck things up, and he's got to fix it. That's the story. And then we got, I guess we'll have to see when it comes out how they're going to handle that. But it could be interesting. It could be disastrous. I don't know.
Well, it depends on the
Justice
reason
League
why
should
they're
be good.
doing it. If they're doing it because of Ben Affleck and all that stuff, and they didn't, and that's going to completely change the scripts of all the other movies that they had planned, then I would be a little bit concerned of it negatively affecting any of their future projects. Like if they had a storyline, and then Ben Affleck is the reason that they want to go back and change stuff in Flashpoint, then how is that going to affect the other movies that they projected into the future?
Right, and then you got to take into account that Aquaman is already made. That's already in the can, so they're not going to make any changes there. The second
When
Wonder
does Aquaman
Woman,
come out?
2019, I believe.
Hmm.
Um,
That's interesting.
yeah, I'm actually really looking forward to them redefining Aquaman because Aquaman's actually a decent character in the comics,
Well,
especially in the Injustice series.
They can on the Marvel side of things, they could always do Namor after they wrap up the last Avengers movie, and that can be like competition for Aquaman, screen wise.
True. I mean, I wasn't really worried about them coming up with a a competing Aqua
I don't
person.
even think. I don't think they would even need to do that. They're doing so well. The state of DC right now. I'm more excited
Namor
for
is
Flash.
also important though. Anyway, Flash. Sorry.
I'm more excited for Flash and Aquaman than I am for another Batman or Superman movie. I want to see more of the characters that I haven't seen a lot of.
I want to see another Superman movie.
I would like to see another Superman movie because that was by far the best Superman movie.
Yeah, I have to give you that. It was the best one, in my opinion, as well. Even though Christopher Reeve still my favorite.
I don't know.
Superman.
I like Christopher Reeves as Superman, but this was a good Superman movie where you actually got to see him fight a bit, like not the cheesy fighting in the 80s.
Right, and that just speaks to the time frame that the movie was made in. But in my heart, it's always going to be Christopher Reeve. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and move on from that. So now we're moving on to TV shows, and the one we're talking about this week is Inhumans. We got to see the first 2 episodes. Brandon, what do you think?
It was cool, but there were certainly things that just, I don't know, it didn't really stick out in any way for me. It just seemed kind of okay.
I actually liked it. A lot of people were complaining that it was bad and boring and whatnot. I think one of the things that bothered me about the first 2 episodes is the guy who plays Black Bolt's brother was also Ramsay Bolton in Game of Thrones, and he's basically just Ramsay Bolton in the Inhumans now.
He's for sure still Ramsay Bolton.
Yeah, that bothers me a little bit because it sort of takes me out.
It bothers me that his brother doesn't have any powers. He should.
I think he might.
Yeah, I believe he either
he's keeping shit secret. That's what he's in the comic book. He had a high IQ, and if his goal is to overthrow the kingdom, then he would keep that shit secret. He'd keep that on lockdown.
Yeah, he's either keeping it a secret or his powers haven't manifested yet. I'm more leaning towards he's keeping it a secret.
Well, we'll have to see what they do with that, because that kind of bothered me a little that he didn't have anything.
One of the things that intrigued me, and I mean, I always knew this going into it, but the fact that the main character can't speak is an interesting twist. Like basically he can only communicate through others because if he opens his mouth, he's gonna destroy the world. So I don't know how I feel about the actor yet. I don't think we've seen enough of him to determine whether or not he's got the chops to pull something like that off. But I do like the concept of it. I do like that they're taking it there.
I felt like he has the presence to pull it off. I don't know if it was an expression or the cinematography, but as far as him not being able to communicate by speaking, I mean, yeah, that is definitely going to put a hamper on how he communicates without someone being nearby who,
Well, I think
unless he just happens to know American Sign Language, and that's exactly what he was using.
Well, I think the difficulty is going to be not in how he communicates to the other characters; it's in how he communicates to the audience.
Oh, true.
I think that he's done okay so far. I question also the fact that they shaved Medusa.
Yeah, I was kind of like, what the hell is that about? But, I guess we'll find out.
She should have also been able to fight harder. I mean, all they were doing was holding her arms. Why couldn't she just maneuver her hair and knock everyone away?
Well, she did knock everyone away. Somebody actually
came behind her and was
behind her and used their powers on her.
Well, right, but when they were actually going to shave her, she was conscious.
Well,
yeah, that was an oversight.
I think we're supposed to understand that she's still under the effects of whatever they did to her.
I feel like it might have been an oversight for dramatic effect. If they had just shaved her when she was asleep, laying on the floor, passed out, that wouldn't have been as dramatic.
Right.
Which they could have done.
Yeah, that's a possibility. But, I think we were supposed to believe that she's still under the effect of whatever it was they did to her. But, again, that's just my opinion. I could be wrong. So are you going to continue watching?
I'll give it another episode or two. If I don't see any kind of big improvement, I would probably drop off for a long while.
I stuck with Iron Fist through the whole season, so I think I'll be able to watch. I think I'll be able to make it through the Inhumans.
As far as I'm concerned, they've got me. Unless they jump the shark somewhere along the way, in the season. Like right now, I think, just like any new show, they've got to find their legs. But I'm interested in seeing where the story's going. I'm interested in seeing, what he wants to do. Is he going to try to take over the Earth? Is he going to try to, are they going to have this battle between Earth and the Moon? Like, there's a lot of places they can take this, and they're existing in a universe where metahumans are, well, they're not called metahumans in Marvel. They're, I guess they're inhuman, but they are something new to the people. This isn't. This is almost like an origins story.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different ways they can go with this. So I'm looking forward to it, and I think if they do it right, it's going to be a pretty interesting show.
I'll have to see. Like I said, I'll give it another couple episodes before I drop off to see if it sparks my interest.
Right. And then, so we're moving along now. We are going to start talking about some games. Apparently, the Warframe Eidolon.
Yeah, Plains of Eidolon.
Yeah.
A big content drop that a lot of players have been waiting for is supposed to release sometime within the next 10 days. So
I did see that. I was surprised. I was surprised that it's going to be that it was that fast.
Yeah, I was expecting it to be in November, and then Rebecca posted on the Warframe forums that within the next 10 days. So it could be to the 14th, or it could be sooner. They're trying to just get all the bugs out.
No,
but if you played Warframe long enough, it's always gonna have bugs.
Well, I haven't played too much of Warframe, but are they going to lock the open world place to being a higher level or something?
I'm not 100% sure on that. I know it's gonna take place on Earth, so it could go a number of ways. Yes, they have those gates from planet to planet. So I would imagine if they don't put it behind the War Within, which was the last content drop for storyline, then it will be right after you unlock Earth that you're able to get to it. I would imagine that they would want players to be able to get to it early on. Yeah, right away.
And what this is, Jose, is Warframe was basically a kind of like a co-op shooter that you could do, but it had no real hub at first for players to meet up at. It was basically you launched the game, partied with your friend, and then you did a quick mission.
Yeah, they had procedurally generated maps. They later introduced a hub world on like a satellite or an asteroid or what have you. But that was a really small map, and there was nothing to do other than talk to NPCs.
Yeah, it was kind of lackluster from
and
what
see other characters in their fashion frames.
And this is changing it to be a much more open world, kind of like how World of Warcraft may be, or
like Destiny,
Star Wars: The Old Republic. Kind of like Destiny. I mean, Destiny. So I mean, that's the kind of segue into another thing that you wanted to talk about anyway. I mean, Destiny probably is pulling some stuff from Warframe, but Warframe is also pulled from Destiny.
Yeah, and
it's a shared thing, and it's not just them; it's a lot of other companies do it.
Well, Warframe is pulling from Destiny in positive ways. They're taking essentially what is the farm, and they're slapping that into a giant open world map with NPCs that will make you want to stay there and invest time in that area, but they're not changing their in game. The in game to Warframe is what really keeps players playing. That and new content, and the content comes out frequently enough, and there isn't this huge grind over just your gear. It is grindy, but it's not to the extent where you have to rerun a raid 15 times.
Well, I mean, how fast could I get geared up to near max?
In what, Warframe?
Yeah.
There's no max. It's subjective. That's kind of the point of Warframe 2. There's no min maxing.
Good enough to easily handle the final or hardest fight in the game.
Depends on how long you're playing for in a week. Maybe if you played a steady 80 to 100 hours, which is what I would expect you to play in any game, like without going after a specific weapon. Segue back a little bit into Warframe news. The new Warframe glass has been officially named Gagara. It'll be coming out a week later than Eidolon, the Plains of Eidolon. They were initially supposed to come out at the same time, but due to voice actor conflicting schedules, they're pushing back the quest. Or
is it just another frame?
Yeah, it's another Warframe. People who've been watching for a while have been waiting for it. It looks interesting to play, but it was supposed to come out simultaneously. And because of the conflict, they're pushing it back. You're still supposed to be able to get it from the store when Plains of Eidolon launches, and there'll be missions to help give you bonuses, so that way you can finish your quest to get Gara earlier. So there will be ways to get it before having to wait an initial another week after Eidolon. Now back to Destiny in Warframe. The end game for Destiny is PvP or running raids to get your exotics. Warframe doesn't take that architecture and structure for theirs. They introduced a new mod. You haven't received it. You haven't played long enough to get to Ribbon mods yet. Mods are basically a way to upgrade your gear. You know that.
Yeah.
You receive them usually randomly or from doing specific events. But they introduced a new RNG mod called a Ribbon mod, and it's really upset the community because you complete a quest to get a mod, and then that mod can be for any weapon, and that mod can have random stats. Randomly, like it can have insane stats, like up in the hundreds of percentage bonuses, or it can just have the worst bonuses ever, and then it's just garbage. But it's completely random. There's no way of increasing or decreasing the pros and cons of a Riven mod, like you can with gear now.
Right.
So I guess we can move on from that.
Well, you jumped right into Warframe Glass, but you didn't really explain what Glass means. Like, what is that? Just a title?
Yeah. When you're playing Warframe, you're playing a single character. Spoilers, but you can switch into different Warframes. It's a suit, and the suit enables you to use your abilities in different ways. So each suit has a different ability set. It was called Glass before the Warframe the Warframe Council of players decided to vote and give it an official name. So its theme is glass. There's a Warframe called Frost that does ice. There's Inaros, which is based off of Anubis, like it looks like Anubis, and works with sand. It can
Well,
have
what's
CC.
the end game for Warframe then?
Warframe's end game in the community, they consider it this fashion frame. It's entirely up to what you want it to be, and I think that's what is appealed to me because I've been playing it since beta or since alpha.
I mean, what is there to do?
They've added the new storyline quests. Sequentially there are planets, and you start off on one planet, I think Mercury. It's been a while. And then you complete all the quests in Mercury, and there's a junction point to the next planet. That'll require you to fight a boss or X number of enemies or receive specific.
That wouldn't be end game though. That's just progression. I'm talking about once you clear all that. Once you do all that.
Endless defense missions and endless survival missions.
So
that's how you get to the hardest boss. That's how you get to the hardest boss. They're not bosses, the hardest enemies, because every wave the enemies get stronger and stronger and stronger. As strong as you are.
What?
Well, no, go ahead and finish your thought, Ryan.
As strong as you are, you can stay in an endless defense wave or for 30 waves, but if your team isn't geared up to where you're at, they're gonna drop out. Every additional wave you receive loot, so there's that incentive for staying.
Okay. Well, so here's my question though. It's like I'm not really an MMO player. The games I play are usually first-person shooters or fighters, and one of the things I noticed in a lot of games is that as you progress to the quote-unquote harder enemies, the enemies aren't getting any better. Your character is getting weaker. Even though you have more powers or abilities, whatever, you just don't do the damage that you did to the lesser enemies. Is this the same? Are they following that same model, or are you truly getting bigger, badder enemies that are more difficult to
For a long time, the answer was no. They had basic enemy types, and those were what you were fighting the whole time. They've been adding new content regularly for new enemy types that you don't encounter until later on in higher level waves. Enemies that spawn more enemies that reduce your energy, your energy that allows you to do those specials. Those things are a pain in the ass, but it's improving. For a long time, it did follow that same model that you were talking about.
That's good to hear.
And that's why I think the community sticks with Warframe, in a way that they don't stick with Destiny.
It's still two different things though. So like in Destiny, I like the fact that it's raiding or PvP.
Yeah, but you're gonna run out of content, and then you're gonna not play it.
I hate endless waves.
Well,
that's why I don't like playing zombies.
It's a challenge.
Like Call of Duty and stuff. I don't like I don't like that structure.
Well, what are you looking for when you're doing the rave? You're looking for a challenge, right?
I'm looking to go with a group of friends and have actual strategy involved with beating bosses in particular. And have there be specific mechanics to said bosses.
Well, so
and gear that can only come out of said specific dungeon.
well, let me pose this question to you, because you're talking about how in depth the game is and the structure of it and how these things work. How would, say, Jesus from War of Gods fit into that kind of game? Because I've been looking forward to talking about that stupid game since it started.
It's okay. All right. Yeah, we can transition pretty easily over to that. So,
But
Brandon,
no,
you've played it, right?
No. I want you to answer my question.
Jesus would not fit it at all.
No.
So you're saying?
I mean,
Jesus
the
is more
combat
up to
would, because Warframe does have fist weapons.
That's true.
That you can use. So, and they're kind of like the pieces of the cross that you have nailed to your hands that you use in what was it? Fight of
War of
Gods?
Gods.
Yeah.
Fight of Gods.
It's Fight of Gods.
Oh.
So did you buy the game, Jose?
I certainly did not.
I guess you and me were the only ones.
I watched lots of videos and laughed my ass off.
And that's the purpose. That's the point of the game.
It's hilarious. I love when Jesus wins a fight, he says Amen.
How far did you get in the arcade mode? So that because
I beat the game as Jesus.
Okay, so what's the storyline of the throughout the game? Is it just, from what I've seen, it was just God after God after God that you're fighting?
That's all it really is until you get to the end and you fight a boss called Boss.
It's a placeholder. Don't worry. Content will be out.
He's like the god of gods.
Yeah, that's what I got out of it. But there was no real story to it. It's still in development.
Yeah, it's early access on Steam.
It's all the fights are hilarious just because you're fighting as different gods. So I mean, you're Jesus, you're Buddha, you're Amaterasu, which is a Japanese god.
Anubis is in there.
Anubis is in there. Yep. Zeus, Odin, and they fight entirely differently, every single one. So they did a good job in actually giving all the characters decent abilities to use.
All right. Well, would you say that it was worth the $8 that you spent to play it?
Yeah.
I would say it's worth the $8, especially if they keep tweaking things. I mean, as far as a fighting game goes, outside of the fact that this is the gods and things like that, and it's supposed to be funny, it's actually not a bad fighting game. The
mechanics were solid.
Yeah, the mechanics are fairly solid. So I mean, it's definitely got some potential because as long as you have the mechanics in place, you should be set.
Okay. Is there an online mode? So if I bought this game, could we fight?
No, not yet.
So you can only do it if you're in the same place?
Yes.
Okay.
I did notice that. I don't know when that feature will be added.
If at all. Who knows?
If at all.
Yeah. I think the biggest cons of the game are definitely, for me, was the online, the storyline needs. I would like to see something there, an attempt made. I mean, they made an attempt at the beginning of the game and then just nothing.
Boss.
And then, yeah, and then resolution options, because it capped out at 1080, right?
Yeah.
So.
Well, them doing 4K,
and the UI.
I don't really see that fast.
And the UI is terrible. The user interface is horrible. But other than that, I think that if you're going to get the game, just get the game to have fun, and you'll be pleased.
Okay.
I mean, if you want to get drunk, Jose, and play it, you'll have a great time. You'll have a fantastic time.
That sounds right up my alley.
Dude, like I said, I was upset because like I was fighting Moses, right? And I tried to use Rapture, and somehow Moses blocked my Rapture and then killed me with parting the Red Sea.
It's because it's Moses, man. Don't fuck with Moses,
That's right.
even if you're Jesus.
Like, respect your elders, motherfucker.
Buddha was another one that was hard.
Buddha was? Oh yeah.
Well, maybe I will get it. Maybe I'll play it and let you know how much I suck at it. But in other game news that I thought was really exciting is the first reviews for Star Wars Battlefront 2 have been coming out, and they sound really, really good. A lot of people were pissed off about the gameplay in Battlefront 1, how there was such limited worlds, limited places to go within the game, and a lot of people had said that they put this game out almost as an apology for what they did in Battlefront 1.
Well, yeah, because I mean, did you play Battlefront 1? Or did you see that there was no space battles?
Yes. And that is definitely coming in this one, and it looks freaking awesome.
That I'll give. I am looking forward to space battles. I just hope that. Well, I guess it depends on how they're doing the space battles in it, because I actually miss some of the old space arcadey type flying games that you could do in the past, and I haven't really seen one in a long time.
Well, I think this has that feel to it, just with modern graphics and controls.
Right. So, I mean, that's what I'm hoping for, and if that's the case, it's going to be. I'm probably going to only play those levels.
Yeah, but it's going to have the online mode. It's going to have the single player mode. So there's a story that you can play. There's going to be, I think, something like 19 different worlds that you can explore. It looks like they did a really good job. It almost seems like to me, and I haven't heard really anybody make this comment yet, that when they put out Battlefront 1, it's like they put out an incomplete game. And the things that they put out in Battlefront 2 are the game, what belongs in Battlefront 2 and what should have been in Battlefront 1.
Yeah.
So I've been following that, and that sounds pretty exciting. Looking forward to being able to play that when it comes out.
Did you see? Because I actually haven't even looked. Do you know if it's coming out on PC?
I don't know that for a fact. I'm sure I saw it and just don't remember. But
have you heard, Ryan?
Oh no, I haven't heard anything.
I can't see it not coming out on PC. But then again, look what they did with Injustice. I'm so pissed off about that. Injustice 2. I've been waiting for that shit to come out on Steam, and I'm still waiting.
Yes, Battlefront 2 will be on PC.
Sweet. So I think that's it for the topics we had listed for games, and we wanted to save some time for some questions that people had submitted to us. Although we didn't get that many this time. We had Daniel Vegas was asking us about shows that were canceled with cliffhanger endings. And which ones? There was this whole article with something like 30 shows listed. Which one's the one that stood out to you?
Sliders is probably the biggest one that stood out to me. I can't believe they didn't have either Farscape or Firefly.
Firefly didn't have a cliffhanger ending.
Well, I guess not, but
I mean, there's lots of
still ended prematurely.
Yeah. Oh, of course it. Yeah, no doubt it.
And there were things left up in the air. Not, I mean, it didn't end on a cliffhanger, but you had the bounty hunter still out there somewhere.
Right. Well, like for example, the one of the shows that stuck out to me was a show I used to watch called Dark Angel. It was the first time we were introduced to Jessica Alba.
I saw that listed on there. Yeah.
Yeah, and that ended with the company moving in to like attack the special soldiers, and we never got a resolution because they canceled the show. So like that's what I think. Like when you say a show that's canceled with a cliffhanger. What about you, Ryan? Which one stuck out to you?
I was actually just looking for that article.
I thought you read it.
I did read it.
Look, there's a lot in there that I did not see. I mean, I saw Mork and Mindy, so I remember an okay amount of that show, but I don't remember how it ended on a cliffhanger.
That was that Mork and Mindy got married, and then they came home, and for some reason their house was totally destroyed, and the High Council from Orc was contacting Mork, but we never got to see what they wanted or why the destruction happened.
Oh, okay. And then Lois and Clark, New Adventures of Superman.
Yeah, that ended with them getting married.
Yeah.
And I suppose that could have been an interesting jumping off point, but I don't know. That didn't really do a whole lot for me.
Ryan?
Yeah.
There.
Sorry. I don't have anything to add. I'm sorry.
Did you watch any of those shows?
Yeah, yes and no. Not consistent enough. You have to remember, I'm the youngest one here, and so
most of these shows were before he really would have watched.
Right. And that's fine.
Well, the thing was, back when those shows were on, or most of those shows were on, I wasn't watching TV shows consistently like I am now. I couldn't just stream an entire season of a TV show.
Right.
So.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of shows on there I didn't watch either, like Deadwood. Deadwood? Yes. Deadwood was one that was listed on there, and I never watched it, even though everybody said it was great. There was a show there called Las Vegas that I saw some of, but I don't know what the cliffhanger ending was.
Sliders is probably the biggest, the one that sticks out the most for me, because that ending was fucking absurd. I was so upset.
Do you think they did it that way because they knew they were being canceled, or they never got to flesh out wherever that story was going to go?
I think they did it because they knew it was getting canceled.
I think that's the wrong way to go about it. I think you leave them wanting more, not just going.
You saw it, right? You know what I'm talking
about.
To be honest, the one from that list, My Name's Earl. That's probably the most recent one from that list that I've seen. Like, consistently enough that when it got canceled, I was like, well, what the hell happened at the end? Because he never finished his list.
Yes, yeah, I never watched that show, so I don't even know what you're talking about.
Well, the whole premise of the show is for him to get good karma back from going and making things right with people that he's wronged in the past. So he had the list of things that he had to do, and he never finished that list. Well, it was such a streamlined plot, but because it got canceled, we don't know
for a while too, wasn't it?
Yeah, I believe it was.
So interesting that they had more story than they were allowed to tell, I guess.
From 2005 to 2009.
Ryan, do you know what the premise of Sliders is? Did you ever see it?
Yeah, I did. But not how it ended. Episodes. Do I know how it ended? No.
It ended with, so they knew, the main characters, they knew that they had one more jump to go because they figured out like the programming essentially of it. One more jump to go to get back home. They got intercepted by another world who basically told them, if you guys go through the portal to get home, you will all die. And so the show ended with just one of the guys, Rembrandt, jumping through the portal, and that's the end of the show.
Yeah, so you don't know what happened. and that counts as a cliffhanger.
Yeah. I was like, are you like, oh, I was so upset.
A lot of these on the list, though, like Terminator, the Sarah Connor.
I never saw that show.
I never saw that, and I'm not surprised.
No, I never got into it either. And I hear such widely different things about it. I heard that it was really good. Other people were just like, I don't know what the hell they were doing. But I really like the actress that played the Terminator. was the same actress that played. Come on, Jose. River from Firefly. I like the actress, but I never got into the show.
Well, the new actress is Daenerys?
Oh no, but she's playing Sarah Connor.
Right.
Yeah. And I don't know how they're gonna. I don't know where they're gonna go with that, or are they even going to incorporate all of that? Because it's quite possible that James Cameron will just pick up where Terminator 2 left off. Thoughts?
You mean where
Terminator 2 left off?
Why?
Because he's had some things to say about the other sequels in the franchise, and
He didn't direct those, did he?
No,
He didn't direct
No,
them,
I
but he
think so.
produced them.
he did 1 and 2. So
His name was still on them.
yeah, but he had some issues with them, and I have a feeling he wants to course correct.
Oh, that would be so weird to just pick up from.
So he's just gonna retcon the three,
Pretty much.
3 and 4.
Just pretend those two didn't happen.
3, 4, and 5.
Oh yeah. Well, to be honest, I think I'd be fine with that.
Yeah, because 1 and 2 are the only ones I have any actual nostalgia about.
I didn't like 3 really at all. 4 I actually kind of liked because it's the guy from Avatar and Clash of the Titans. I liked him as an actor, and I thought he did okay in that role in the 4th movie.
Yeah, but I think it was the storyline.
Yeah, that whole Salvation
like-
storyline didn't make
Like
any
you said,
sense.
Jose, you have nostalgia for 1 and
And-
2, but I think it's more than just nostalgia. 1 and 2 were much better. Were much better movies.
Right.
Well,
they were better
and then the
stories.
5th one, I kind of liked where they're going with it now, anyway, because now we actually have it's still happening in the future, but we have it more, I guess, an accurate timeline of it rather than it happening in the 90s like it did, and
Right.
obviously that didn't happen.
All right. Well, we've gone on for a while now, so we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. But thanks again for joining. If you have any questions or anything you'd like to hear us talk about, please leave comments below, or tag us on Facebook or on Twitter, and we'll see if we can work that into the show. We have a lot of stuff coming out for the end of the year, so we're going to have plenty to talk about, and I'm looking forward to it. Brandon, you have any closing thoughts?
No, not for me.
Ryan?
I'm good.
All right. We're going to go ahead and knock this out then. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.
Later,
Bye.
guys.
Shit, the stop button isn't working.
Always.
Come on. Bye.